Hello everyone. In this tutorial, we will be discussing about the HP IDOL OnDemand API. In this tutorial, we will focus mainly on indexing API. First, create text index API. Second, object store. Third, add to text index. Fourth, view document API. Fifth, find related concepts. And lastly, find similar API. I will show how to use these API in Java language and implement simple functions using this in Java. So, let's get started. Before we move further and discuss more on programming side of IDOL API, I believe it's a good idea to take a small tour of HP IDOL OnDemand. For those who have already signed up for an IDOL account, may skip this and can directly jump to programming in IDOL API. Whenever you first visit the IDOL web page, you are required to sign up. Sign up button is located at top right. It will ask you to fill few details. Okay, once sign up is done, next, you will log in by clicking on login button. Since I already signed up, I will directly jump to login. There are various login options for you, like Google, Yahoo, Facebook, Twitter. I have my Google account linked with IDOL, so I will click on Google and will proceed to next. Once you log into your account, you should click on Get an API Key. You need this API key for your account. It's a token which is required while calling any API. You can manage your account by clicking on Account tab at top right. You can see various options you can manage your API key, check your usage for any particular API key, and many more. Let's try one of them. Okay, let's click on Create and manage your own text indexes. Wait, meanwhile, it gets loaded. Okay. As you can see, I have one text index, which I created, named as Cancer Prevention. You can get further details on your particular text index, by clicking against the name of your text index. Lastly, now, we will have a quick look at API page, before moving on to programming for IDOL API. Okay, so, from this API page, we can see all the APIs available in IDOL. There are a lot of useful APIs. Let's examine one of these API. Let's go to OCR Document API. This is an overview page of OCR API, which is giving us all the necessary information about this API. Now, let's move to Request tab. This page is giving us the information, which we need to send during our post REST call, while calling this API. Remember, this is the URL which we need to pass to call this API. You can choose either of the asynchronous or synchronous, depending on your application. Now, let's move to Response tab. As you can see, the response, which we get from this API, will be our nice formatted frame JSON. You can see the exact structure by scrolling down. So, this winds up our small tour of IDOL OnDemand API. Now, we will look into the programming aspect of IDOL API. So, let's go ahead. I will be showing this tutorial in Eclipse. However, you can use any Java IDE such as NetBeans etc. Before we start writing our Java code, it is important to import all jars from lib folder inside, HTTP components, client, 4.3.4, bin.tar. You will easily find this tar online. It is free. You will find all these jars and you need to include them all. They are required in our post method call to IDOL API. In Eclipse, you can include these jars by going to project's build path and after that going to add external archives. Now, let's proceed. Once these jars are included, we can now go ahead in our code. Let's first look at common part of code and after that, we will look into specific APIs. I have initialized API to my API key. Inside this, you should put your API key of IDOL account, which has already been discussed in our tour to IDOL part of this video. Also, we have defined URL1, URL2, URL3, URL4, URL5 and URL6 for create text index, store object, add to text index, view document, find related concepts and find similar API respectively. Okay, now let's take a closer look into our client1 class. Inside this class, we have made one public method run, which is accessed by driver class. Run method takes two arguments. First one is URL of the API, which we are calling and second is a list of key value pair of arguments, which we are sending to the API. In run method, we are using HTTP client post API. Java has other ways of calling post method, but to me, this seems to be the most stable. Anyway, let's not go into debate on this. First, we create closable HTTP client variable, HTTP client, and assigned value of HTTP clients.createDefault. This is the default and is required to establish connection. I won't go into implementation details of HTTP clients API. If you want to know more, you can always read from its documentation. Now, inside our try block, we are creating an instance of HTTP post, by passing the URL address of our called API. After this, we are using setEntity, for encoding in UTF-8. Okay, now we are executing the request, by calling HTTP client.execute and passing HTTP post. We are storing the response in closable HTTP response. You can see the status of post API, by calling response.getStatusLine. Finally, we are fetching the results from our response using getEntity method, and storing this result in HTTP entity class variable. Lastly, we are checking the length of extracted content by using getContentLength method of HTTP entity class. If length is not equal to -1, we are converting the result into human-readable string, using toString method. Otherwise, if length is equal to -1, we are not doing anything. At last, we are returning our final string result, which is there inside body variable. It is most important that you close all the connections which you have opened. As you can see in my finally part of code, I have closed entity, response and HTTP client connections, by calling entity utils.consume, close and close methods respectively. This sums up what all we have inside out client1 class. Now, let's move again to driver class. Inside driver class, we have main method. Apart from it, we have create index method, store object method, add to text index method, view document method, find related concepts method and find similar method. Let's move to main. Inside main, we have made a menu-driven program, in which we have taken user input through scanner. If user enters 1, we are calling create text index. If user enters 2, we are calling store object method. If user enters 3, we are calling add to text index. If user try 4, we are calling view document. For 5, we are calling view related concepts method. For 6, we are calling view similar method and otherwise printing wrong choice. I hope till now everything seems simple. Let's move on. Okay, so till now we have covered the general part for all API. Now, let's talk about one API at a time. Our first goal here is to execute a create a text index using IDOL OnDemand API create text index call. The create text index API allows you to create a text index that you can use to add your own content to IDOL OnDemand. You specify a name for the text index, which you can use to access data for future operations. Let's look at create text index method. Here we are adding 3 parameters to our key value list. First one is flavor with value explorer. An explorer configuration can accept up to 25,000 documents. Second key is index with its value as cancer prevention, which is nothing but the name of our index, which we need while calling this index in future. The last key is API key with value equal to your API key. This key value pair will always be there whenever you call any IDOL API. If you want to see whether index is set or not, you should see the indexes in your account by going to your account and manage. This API returns a JSON document with keys as type, properties and index. Properties contains a nested JSON document, with key as message and value as whether it is success or not. Index key also contains a nested JSON document with type as key and name of index as its value. But, we will get string as return value, when run method is called. So, here I am using simple JSON jar to convert string into JSON. You can use any of the JSON jars and include that into Eclipse, by following build path and add external archives, which is discussed earlier. JSON object class will take string as input and convert into JSON object. The stack will be, first main, then create text index method and after that run method. Okay, now let's run this program and see the output. Our next goal is to upload the document in the URL to the IDOL OnDemand database using the Store Object API. The Store Object API takes a file, reference, or an input URL and stores the contents of the document for use in other APIs. It returns the object store reference, which you can pass to other APIs to process the document that you store. Let's look at Store Object method now. We are adding two key value pair. First key is URL and its value is the address of document, which you want to add to IDOL database using Store Object API. The last key is API key with value equal to your API key. This key value pair will always be there whenever you call any IDOL API. The value returned from Store Object method is a JSON document with only one key, which is reference and its value, which we will use whenever we want to call or refer this document for future purpose. In rest of my videos, I won't be calling again this function. I will use the reference explicitly, which is returned by this API during our first time call. Here, the call stack is, first main, then Store Object method and after that run method. Okay, now let's run this program and see the output. So, let's move to our next goal. Our goal here is to add to text index, where we will map the reference, which we created in last API call to index cancer prevention which we have created in step 1. The Add to Text Index API allows you to add content to a text index that you have set up. The API indexes your content and makes it available for use in other APIs, such as Query Text Index, Find Similar, and Find Related Concepts. Now, let's look at Add to Text Index method. We have explicitly set this reference. This is the reference of our cancer prevention document, which we got from Store Object API. Inside Find Related Concepts method, we are adding 3 parameters to our key value list. First key is reference and its value is reference number which we got from Store Object API. Second one is indexes with value as name of index, that is cancer prevention, which we have created using Create Text Index method. The last key is API key with value equal to your API key. This key value pair will always be there whenever you call any IDOL API. You can send other additional parameters also. The value returned from Add to Text Index method is a JSON structure with 2 documents. The first one is index key and its value is index name on which we are doing indexing. In this case, it should be cancer prevention. The second key is reference, which contains a nested JSON document with keys as references and ID respectively. Inside main, we are converting string into JSON and then printing the output. Okay, now let's run this program and see the output. Okay, now, let's move to our next goal. Our goal here is to execute a view document call and at the same time, highlighting the phrase physical activity in the document. We should also make sure that our output is in the raw HTML format. The View Document API allows you to render documents into HTML, and highlight text in the document. It uses HP KeyView to extract the contents of over 500 different file formats, and convert them to HTML. Now, let's take a look at View Document method. We have explicitly set this reference. This is the reference of our cancer prevention document, which we got from Store Object API. Inside View Document method, we are adding 5 parameters to our key value list. First key is reference and its value is reference number which we got from Store Object API. Second one is highlight expression with value as physical activity. Here, we want to highlight physical activity, so the value of highlight expression is physical activity. Third key is raw HTML and its value is Boolean true. We want our output in raw HTML format, and therefore raw HTML is set to true. Fourth key is start tag and its value is B in angular brackets. We want our highlighted text to be in bold characters. The last key is API key with value equal to your API key. This key value pair will always be there whenever you call any idle API. It is very important to note here that, since we are using raw HTML as true, we won't be getting output in JSON format. So, we don't need to convert string into JSON. If we try to do that, we will run into errors. We will get HTML document as the output. Okay, now let's run this program and see the output. Since the output of this document is huge, I am not able to show you my highlighted text, as the top part of the output is being cropped in my screen. I will show you how the highlighted text will appear in HTML. We can test the highlighting on string healthy, which is appearing in my output window. Okay, so let me do small change. Okay. Done. Now let's run this code. Now, our goal is to execute find related concepts call against Wikipedia, using the cancer prevention document as input. Also, we need to display all the documents returned from this method. The find related concepts API returns a list of the best terms and phrases in query result documents. You provide query text, which defines the set of documents that you want to describe, and the response returns a list of terms and phrases that occur in these documents. Now, let's look into our find related concepts method. We have explicitly set this reference. This is the reference of our cancer prevention document, which we got from store object API. Inside find related concepts method, we are adding 3 parameters to our key value list. First one is indexes with value wiki_eng. This is the index of the IDOL database, from which result will be fetched. Second key is reference and its value is reference number of cancer prevention document. The last key is API key with value equal to your API key. This key value pair will always be there whenever you call any idle API. You can send other additional parameters also. The value returned from find related concepts method is a JSON document with entities string as key and array of nested JSON document as its value. Okay, now let's run this program and see the output. Let's move on. Okay, so this is our last goal here, which is to execute a find similar documents API call against the news database using one of the related concepts. The find similar API returns documents in the IDOL OnDemand databases that are similar to text or a document that you provide. You can either submit text, an index reference, a file, an object store reference, or a URL. Now, let's move our focus to find similar method. Before I go further, I would like to point that I have stored the reference value explicitly in reference variable, rather than calling again the store object API. Here, first we have called findRelatedConcepts method. Now, we fetch the entity's key value from returned output and assign to JSON array. If there are no documents, we are printing sorry message. Here, we have analyzed the number of documents and appropriately sets the text key value to our variable name text. Okay, now our data is ready. Inside findSimilar method, we are adding 3 parameters to our key value list. First one is text with value text, which we get from the above findRelatedConcepts method. This will give the API the content for which we are looking for similar content inside news database. Second key is indexes and its value is news English. It is this index from which the similar content will be fetched. The last key is API key with value equal to your API key. This key value pair will always be there whenever you call any idle API. You can send other additional parameters also. This API key will return a JSON documents with many key value pairs. We will get string as return value when run method is called on these parameters. JSON object class will take string as input and convert into JSON object. Okay, now we want only the JSON object document field, which we will receive using JSON object get method by passing key parameter, which is document in this case. Now, we have converted this into JSON array using JSON array method. You can print each document by traversing the entire loop and printing each document one by one. Okay, so now let's see the output. Congratulations! I hope you must have enjoyed this video tutorials, which is termed as indexing for HP IDOL API. For more information, you can go to API and can explore more. Also, later if you have any doubts, post on discussion forums. My personal experience at discussion forum in HP IDOL is pretty good. The reply is also pretty fast. Congratulations again for completing this video tutorial. Thanks for watching.